We're live? I hope. Is that working? Are we on? Hello, everyone. Hopefully that is working. I'm just moving that out the way. And hopefully we are go, go, go. I'll sort everything out, set it up properly. It is a bit all over the place. But there you go. I see all of you in the chat waiting. Cheers all for being here. Hopefully it's just a nice chill stream. And we get lots of things covered. We've got Ben, John, Baxter, Nico, James098, of course, Chris A, Trainer Niche, Joe, Laura, hello to you. Hello to Jay, just a regular guy, what an interesting name. Another James is in the chat as well. 90 mile an hour winds and a power cut with Storm is finally easing off now. Yeah, I heard about that you had a power cut. Yes, so today should be a pretty interesting stream. And I hope you're looking forward to it because we are going to be looking at a range of features today. I've also got the Send It merch. And also, something to reveal is that these mugs, if any of you are interested, they will be... I know it's hard to see because of the fading camera, but they will be arriving at... into the start of November, but they will be limited. So if you do want one, you'll have to let me know. Easy. Hello to John. Easy. Yeah, easy. CFS run earlier was showing wind to like 209.10. Well, just a regular guy. Might be your lucky day because we might be having a look at that, and I might be looking at that in depth in a few moments. But I just wanted to see, get the chat up and to start with and see how everyone's days are going. So I've got it here. Look, there you all are. Hello to Joshua Hotchkiss. Sorry about the butchering of my name. Hello to you. Nice to see some new faces in here as well. Right, let's get on and show you very quickly. I'll run through the UKV, and I do apologise. I have to reframe everything. So you'll have to apologise. I have to apologise for the shoddy work there. There we go. That's back on. Right. So, obviously, we've had Storm Amy clearing to the northeast of the UK, and through today it's been a mix of blustery and heavy showers, but that has cleared to our northeast, into the North Sea, towards Scandinavia, Norway, Denmark, and we are into showery northwesterlies. So, checking out the wind gusts from a few hours ago, you can see at the far north of Scotland, it's like John O'Groats, the far north of Lerwick, for example, the small islands at the very north of the UK and Scotland, seeing highs of 80 miles an hour. So still quite windy. Now, throughout this evening into the early hours of Sunday, you can see the far northeast hangs on to some quite strong winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour. And they will clear through, but most places remaining around 30 to 40 miles an hour, with 50 to 60 along the east coast and the west. But obviously things will calm down tomorrow, and things will ease off gradually. Few more, still remaining quite blustering in the north through Sunday morning into Monday, but overall things are definitely calming down as we head into next week. So definite trends are on the change. So there you go. Evening, just a regular guy. Hello to you. Suit's in here as well. Hello to you, Suit. And Anne Smith as well. Hello to you. Hope you're all enjoying yourselves. We'll get on with it. Interesting features. Hope October does turn cold, and me too, James. I'm sure it will, actually. I will run through the current trends as well, because why not, you know? And we'll very quickly run through the 12Z suite of models to see what they are showing. Last few runs have been showing some potential into mid to late October. Yes, they certainly have. And there you go. Hello to Barb Mac, a big Send It supporter. Missed the notification. No problem here now. You're only 4 minutes. We're only 4 minutes in. We've barely done anything yet. We'll get straight on. I do apologise about the nose. I've got a bit, I don't know, cold or something. Probably some sort of bug. The 95th bug of the year going round. So, right, we'll run through the main model runs to see what they are showing. And we'll see what they are showing. Right. Anyway, so we've got Storm Amy clearing to the northeast, into the North Sea, through the next few hours. Then things turn drier, high and dry. Higher pressure to the south, lower pressure to our northwest. And we are dragging in a pretty mild southwesterly wind, lifting the temperatures up above average. Moving through the rest of this week, higher pressure just becomes established over the top of the UK, and depending on its exact position, could produce some quite cool or cold nights, but by day, not too bad at all. With this GFS run, up to day 10, high pressure remains over the top of the UK, keeping things mostly settled. We are bringing in sort of a northwesterly wind around that, so a little bit cool, possibly in the north, but overall it's pretty settled, pretty average. Nothing to write home about, really. With this GFS run into the extended term, higher pressure stays in control. I mean, there's nothing much more to say about that, really. We've got higher pressure to our west and northwest. It's just ridging through Western Europe, if we're being honest. There's not much going on. We are bringing in a slack easterly flow, and it's a very dry October. Picture there. A bit different to the previous runs, which are showing northern blocking, but not too far away. And we'll have to see if that trend returns in this model run. Moving on to the GM run to see what it is showing. Higher pressure to the south and the east, bringing in that west-southwesterly wind into the early part of next week, mid to middle part of next week. Before again, higher pressure re-establishes over the top of the UK, tries to head towards Greenland, but kind of just becomes an area of high pressure over the top of the UK, keeping things mostly settled, mostly dry, and temperatures around to slightly above average. So, let's be honest, there's not really too much going on there, is there? It's a very, very, very quiet spell after the wind gusts which have been going on. Everyone's talking about the wind gusts in the thing. Hello to Chris A. I didn't realise that you'd joined the stream. We had, what was it? We had 60 miles an hour here on the south coast of England. I don't think it got much above 40 here, to be honest. Not too bad at all. I think most other places have definitely seen much more unsettled conditions. Here the pressure is 990 millibars, which is why we're still seeing a few showers. There's been plenty of showers moving through. If you look at the latest from everything. Good to see my windmill actually working, yeah, John. I think that's a positive, isn't it? Where's Imelda? Is that the one which went to the south or the one that went to the north? There's too many storms to focus on. All I know is that it didn't hit the UK. James, it cleared through. Yeah, it did clear through. Sue had a 70 mile an hour gust today. I'm glad everything has died off. Yeah, it is good. It is good. It has all died off and it didn't cause too much disruption, apart from to the man that died in Ireland, which, you know, obviously that's really, really bad. So, yeah, obviously I did say that the wind gusts with Storm Amy weren't anything to be sneezed at, and they definitely were, in some places, worse than others fared with it. Especially even here, it was meant to be 50 to 60 miles an hour. I don't think it got above like 40, 45 maybe, but there you go. That's just how it works sometimes. Some trees down and a trampoline on the roof. Yeah. Well, here you go then. This is what we're all here for, isn't it? Gonna have a quick cup of tea. I'm not going to tell you the brand which it is because it's not relevant, is it? There you go. Let's see what the CFS is showing. So ignore all this. Ignore all of these trends. But it does look very high and dry. Into the last week of October, though, it does turn milder with the CFS run. Higher pressure to the south, lower pressure to the north. Winds in from a westerly direction, most unsettled in the north. Into the start of November, higher pressure is beginning to ridge back through the country and back to our north. But just over, it just begins to ridge over to our east. As you can see, it's centred towards Scandi. Send it to What? Send it to Scandi, but not quite. Not quite a send it to Scandi. But we are bringing in the wind from a southeasterly direction, so pretty mild November there. Pretty mild start, anyway. Through November, heading through. Wow, this looks very mild. This is not what you want. Higher pressure centred to our east. And we're bringing up a pretty mild southerly wind. Lower pressure forced out to our west, parking out to our west in the North Atlantic. And we are dragging through with 10 degrees firm through the country. Looks pretty mild there. Temperature's probably lifting into the mid-teens. Wow, this is a very mild November. But, as you can see, it doesn't take long into the third week of November. Higher pressure swings out to our west, Woo! Swings out to our west in the Atlantic. Lower pressure goes to Scandi, and winds turn into a northwesterly direction, cooling things down. The -5 line through the country. A bit of a contrast to the start of the month. We've got areas of low pressure sliding down, a low in the flow. That's going to be bringing in, probably, with those air masses, the -5 through Scotland and northern England. Probably some snow with that. Maybe even central England seeing some. But that clears out to our east. We've got an area of high pressure to our west, going up towards Greenland and mid-Atlantic ridge, stopping areas of low pressure, pushing in from off the Atlantic, and we're bringing into that a cold northwesterly wind. So actually quite cold there, and possibly wintry, particularly in the north and the east. Now this trend only maintains itself, and I've seen this run by the way, maintains itself through November. High pressure to our west, low pressure to our east, -10 line into the north of Scotland. Cold northeasterly winds. Does break down very briefly. You can see an area of low pressure breaks that flow down. But again, on the back edge, we've still got some northern blocking evident through the northern latitudes. We've got lower pressure over France, and we bring back the wind into an easterly direction. So a brief, milder spell before colder air tries to force its way in. Doesn't quite, and it does turn milder briefly for a time. Now we're into a bit of a milder sector with this run, so higher pressure back over the top of the UK, drying things out, but obviously the exact positioning of the high determines if you see frost or an inversion in the southeast, for example. Probably not there in that situation. Before into towards the Christmas period, we do actually see higher pressure building towards Scandi. We send it to Scandi, bringing in an easterly wind, and by Christmas Eve, cold air masses through the country again. Brief cold pull, -10 line through the south, and on Christmas Day, the -5 line covering the country. May even bring in the isolated wintry flurry through central eastern Britain there, with some pretty cool or cold air masses aloft. Then, this is where, again, things get interesting. You'll see again, this has been a very common theme from the CFS. I've got to give it that. Higher pressure, obviously, just sat over into the west of the UK, bringing in that easterly flow. Then turns it into a northeasterly flow. You can see, look at the cold air across many parts of Europe there. Look at the UK, though, missing all of it. Higher pressure sat out to our west. Area of low pressure trapped within that flow, that bitterly cold air, in through Western Europe. Look at that plunge on the 31st of December. That is brutal cold, really, for the time of year. Like where we got the thumbnail from. But that could be bringing plenty of snow into the south and the southeast. -5 wrapped in. Probably lots of snow around there. Pushing in. That higher pressure is weakening, but we're still bringing in a pretty cold northeasterly wind. But we are under higher pressure there, just about. So probably mostly dry. But the -10 line is through the country. The -15 isotherm is about 200 miles away to our east, but that is pretty cold. Do maybe see a few, like a little trough there on the 2nd of Jan, courtesy of these kinky isobars, and got higher pressure to our west, still out there, dislodging the areas of low pressure at the moment towards Greenland. So the -10 line through the country, -15 just into the southeast, so very cold conditions, and probably some snow showers potentials there. Send itself, yeah. Hit that like button or yellow will fuck your house. Oh, that's horrible. You became a 20th to like the video. Oh, nice one. Nice one, Sue. Cheers as well. Hit notifications again to keep this channel on top of your subs list. Yeah, you better do. Otherwise, I'll be hiding under your bed tonight, and you don't want that. Oh, Tom, I see that you subscribed 3 days ago. Cheers, bud. I've just seen that. Pop up there. Let's get them likes up. Let's get them likes up, them hypes and all that sort of stuff. What's the odds for snow at Christmas? Well, I'll show you that in a minute, because I have actually got the stats on that. And they're not very good, I'll be honest. Hello to Criff Beast in the chat. Criff Beast rocking in the chat. MC Barb Cats as well. There you go. If you know, you know. In the Send It Discord. It does turn milder, though. Oh, God. It does turn milder briefly. And we do see higher pressure returning to the south. And then it pushes northwestwards. Doesn't quite get towards Scandi. And things turn much milder through November before, oh dearie me, look at this. Higher pressure doing warm air advection, which is where it's basically inflating the high pressure towards Scandinavia and the Nordic regions. Look at that. Getting going, here we go. It doesn't quite get going, but you can see the idea. Northern blocking, gathering pace into the end of January. We're bringing in an easterly wind, particularly potent easterly, into the southeast there. Maybe even bringing some snow into Spain there. -10 line through Spain. But we've got the -10 line through the country as well. So probably quite a few snow showers into the east and the southeast there. So I'm looking at you. Oopsie daisies, wrong button. I need to stop doing that. Very unprofessional, very unprofessional. So yeah, very mild start to January, but it does turn colder at the end. Quite cold actually, and probably mostly dry for many regions, but definitely feeling cold with maybe some harsh frost under that area of high pressure. We just see so much cold potential out to our west. Now it does turn cold into the start of Feb. We've got higher pressure out to our west, which is quite weak, but we've got low pressure on a northwest-southeast alignment. You can see it going to the south of the UK. We've got higher pressure towards Greenland. That's shoving the low pressure southwards, and we are still pretty cold with winds in from an easterly direction there. So you could say pretty cold. But moving through, that -10 line remains through the country. We've got a cold northeasterly wind. We've got areas of low pressure pushing into that. That's probably a snow event for the south, at least briefly, before it clears to our east and brings back that cold northeasterly wind. We're very cold at this point, a very prolonged spell, up to around the 14th, 15th of February, before things turn milder again, briefly. And then that's kind of it, really, actually. I did not realise, because I haven't looked that far, but yeah, very cold spell again, before higher pressure begins to topple over the top of the UK, and brings back a southwesterly wind, back into that Atlantic-driven flow into the start of March. Oh, dearie me. Well, I've got 40 of you in here. Hello to Justine. How are you doing? Fisk saying, feels weird to think winter could be good next month. Yeah, hopefully we'll see some action. Yeah, I'm sure everyone hopes we'll see some action this year, but as always, let's not expect anything. I'm just going to have a quick sip. Scottish, you missed an epic winter run. That's all you missed. That's all you missed. Yeah, let me see if I've got another one. I did have another one lined up, but I'm not sure which one it was. I know that this one had a very mild November and a very mild December, but then did turn things quite cold at one point. A lot of these runs, look at that, see? Another run, this is the previous run, brings up that high pressure towards Greenland and Iceland, brings back a northeasterly wind for about a week, keeping it quite cold and wintry. So there's a lot of these runs showing it. Like, even here, look at this, got a battleground scenario between lower pressure to the west and higher pressure to our northeast towards Scandinavia. The cold air winds out, and we actually see plenty of snow potential there. Look at those air masses with this CFS run. Very cold air masses just to the east. That's like a beastly easterly, that, if that came off. On the 31st of Jan, pretty cold air, pushing into the east, very cold actually. Got an area of low pressure within that flow, -10 line through the country with an area of low pressure. That is an absolute snowmaker. That is like a Thames low, that. I forgot the proper name for it, but it's like a Thames low, that, isn't it? Sliding through the country there. Got high pressure to our north. That is a winter lover's wet dream chart with easterly winds and very cold conditions there, and quite snowy as well. And that remains in force for a while before it does turn milder again, but just shows you the amount of runs doing this is pretty crazy. Every single CFS run is doing some sort of cold spell, cold snap. Look at that at the end of the run as well. Northeasterly wind, -10 line at the end of March. There you go. I've also got the ECM lined up as well. Send snow to the southwest. It's been way too long. Well, that one would actually bring you plenty of stuff, but it probably won't, let's be honest. It's a different kettle of fish. 200 in credit with my energy bills. I'm prepared for cold. At least you are, John. I know a lot of people are not happy with me for these videos, but what can you do, eh? Can't please everyone. I'm different to all your regular forecasters. I do things differently around here, and I always will. That's just who I am, and it always will be that way. Anyway, I've got the sea surface temperature anomalies from the NOAA. In case you missed these in the video, this is from the 3rd of October. I've got plenty of you in here, by the way. 40. That's really good. Thank you all very much for joining. Get them likes up. Channel low. Cheers, Neil. Yeah, I've for some reason I blanked out on the name, but yeah, that would be a pretty big snowstorm. Send it to Greenland Night. Send it to Scandi Suit. We can't send it to Greenland. Someone else will have to use that. I think there will be plenty of channel lows with this setup. Yeah, it would be very interesting, wouldn't it? But you can see this is from the 3rd of October. As I mentioned in my video, the colder or cooler sea surface temperatures are reducing in the North Atlantic. Doesn't mean anything. You've got a La Nina signal here. I've got a La Nina. This is when you see the colder temperatures dominating here, so within this region. And that just kind of indicates La Nina, which is expected this year. It's not going to be a ridiculously strong La Nina or a ENSO neutral or El Nino Southern Oscillation neutral winter. It does look like a La Nina, which, if you are wondering, favours a front-loaded winter as in comparison to a back-loaded winter. Typically, doesn't always work like that, but if you look at previous years, December's usually is the best chance for cold with a La Nina setup, but not always. You can still see cold snaps and cold spells going on through Jan and Feb, but it's just less likely, usually. But yeah, there's this colder, cooler temperatures, sea surface temperatures, the warmer temperatures to the south, and the warmer temperatures to the south of Greenland. Kind of looks like a tripole, but it's nowhere near strong enough to make any sort of signs of that. But the anomalies have definitely reduced in terms of the cooler sea surface temperature anomalies favoured in this scenario. So definitely a bit of flipping and flopping with that. Next, we move on to the ECM to see what the latest ECM is showing. Off to Scotland on the 9th to Feb to the 22nd. You're lucky, Justin. You're lucky. Hot blob is dangerous. Yeah, I had a look at that. 7-day trend. Oh yeah, I can show you that, can't I? 1 minute, Ben. I'll bring that up. 1 minute. Let me go on this. Sorry, I'm a bit messy setup. Right, I'll go on there. Let me just bring it up. If I move that down there, you'll just have to excuse the bad screen for a minute. I'm just going to bring up the SST anomalies 7-day trend. I have got them on here, but I've is that it? I think I've got it here. I think that, yeah, there you go. I've got it. Here you go. This is the oh no, that's not right. That's the coral reef one. Whoopsie daisies, I'm meant to be a professional here. What am I doing? Why have I pressed that? I want that. That's the one. Here we go. Why? That's not the right thing. Where's my link gone? 7-day anomaly. Yeah, 7-day. Please. That's not right. What's that? Why have I... Well, I should have had that set up. Whoops. 1 minute. I'll find it. I'll find it. Hello to Kim, RFSC55 Young. Hello to you. I'll sort that out, Ben. Just I'll get through this and then I'll have a look. But I've got myself all mixed up there. I'll quickly run through the ECM anomalies to see what they are showing. I did have them up, but I think I've deleted the tab because I had the not the current sea surface temperatures, and then I had the 7 days, but I can't find them for some reason. It's unusual to see prolonged dry spell after stormy start. It certainly is. But usually after a wet September, you do expect to see a dry October. That's just a typical trend, really, over the past few years as well, as what I've heard from Gav. Right. Week 1, the 6th to the 13th of October. Make sure everything's in frame. No, it's not. Oh, dear me. There you go. 6th to the 13th of October, you can see to the bottom of the chart. Mean sea level pressure anomalies. I've just deleted it. Higher pressure to our west. Winds are in from a northwesterly direction. With the 500 millibar heights, a very similar trend. And we are slightly above average with the temperatures at the surface. Precipitation is drier than average because we are under high pressure. Looks to return to a more settled theme. Into week 2, the 13th to the 20th of October, we do see higher pressure slightly positioned more to our northwest, and around that we could see a northeasterly wind, but we are under high pressure still, so very, very dry. Whoops, there you go. Oh, that looked interesting. Winds are in from that northeasterly direction around that. Temperature anomalies probably cooling down, and they are slightly cooler or slightly colder in the south and southeast, but near normal for many areas besides the far north of Scotland. And with the precipitation anomalies, it is drier than average, still under that area of high pressure. Maybe a few showers drifting into the far east. Now, week 3 looks very interesting here, I've got to be honest. We've got a mid-Atlantic ridge, or an area of high pressure centred towards Greenland and Iceland. We've got low pressure over Scandinavia. Winds are in from a northeasterly direction. Don't see any reason why that wouldn't be colder than average, I've got to be honest. And the temperature anomalies, again, it doesn't really show below average temperatures on these, but around average is favoured here on no signal. And with the precipitation, drier than average in the north, with that high pressure out to our northwest. Slightly wetter over France, we're in no man's land. That kind of indicates a cold northerly wind. So maybe encouraging signs there. Moving on to week 4, which is into the start of November. Well, that's actually quite good. Higher pressures still remaining over Iceland and Greenland, lower pressures towards Scandinavia. Winds remain from a northeasterly direction, that's still pretty cool or cold. Same with the 500 mile heights. Maybe slightly warming up in the far south and southwest. Most areas still near normal. Look at Western Europe, still pretty much above average everywhere. Week 4 anomalies maybe turning slightly wetter, particularly over the east with that trough sitting just to the east of the UK. So many parts of Western Europe seeing that rainfall return. Week 5, which is where things become very, very, very unreliable, the 3rd to the 10th of November. No signal. Got some higher pressure to the south, which is probably the Azores high, over Spain. With 500 millar heights, we've got not a lot of signals. Maybe that higher pressure over Spain. Maybe some ridging towards Greenland. Not too much to go on there. Temperature anomalies returning to slightly above average. Precipitation anomalies slightly wetter than average. And then finally, week 6, the 10th to 17th. Yep, we're not expecting much. We've got some ridging in the Atlantic, but really nothing to say there. With the 500 millibar heights, which is basically the same thing, but you like to see good consensus. Nothing to say again. Temperature anomalies are around to slightly above average, as you'd expect. And for November, the final week, week 6, no signal for precipitation. So not much to go on there if we are being completely honest. So definitely looks a little bit interesting. Gav's channel members not seen. Wait, did he go through it? Oh, sorry. I didn't even know. I must have not watched it. I'm such a bad channel member, guys. I didn't watch it. Justine loves the videos. Cheers. I do appreciate it. Just a nice cold winter. Had a warm summer, now need the cold. It'd be great to forecast one. I always say it. It'd be great to forecast one. Seeing as this is actually going to be my first full winter that I've actually forecast on. Remember, this is my first year of doing it. And I've only really started a few months ago. Seriously. Before then, there was sporadic videos, but now I've started doing it a lot more seriously these days. So there you go. Yes, James, because we sent it to Scandi. Quite a lot of berries on the trees. A lot of people have mentioned that. That is usually a good sign for something interesting to happen. So we'll have to just see how things do develop with everything. That's the MGO, which we're not going to go through. Right, where's my chart gone? These are the this is the polar vortex. I'm gonna have to zoom in a lot on this. This is the polar vortex. As you can see, it's beginning to strengthen. So I've got the current data here, which is from the October the 3rd there. You can see the polar vortex. This is the average, or the usual where it reaches. You can see it is slightly weaker than average, the polar vortex this year, but not too far from the mean, which you'd expect. Of course, it strengthens around the middle of January, which is very typical. Obviously, these years at the top are probably the bad winters, such as the polar vortex of June is probably up here, 2021 or something like that. But you can see there's not really much going on. You just expect it to continue to strengthen as we go through. And I can actually illustrate that to you quite well on another chart. This is the snow chart, the Northern Hemisphere snow and ice chart. I've never actually looked at these before. This is, again, from the 3rd of October, so obviously a few days ago, Friday the 3rd of October. Weak PV is good. Yeah, it is slightly weaker than average, but nothing too far from the mean. Obviously, a slightly weaker than average polar vortex could lead to interesting things at the winter. Maybe an increased chance of blocking patterns. But who knows? It's a long way off. This is the current snow and ice chart. So obviously it's a bit slanted, but you can see North America and Canada. You can see Greenland. You can see Iceland. You can see the Arctic, the North Pole, and you can see the UK, which is just here. So, looking at my Northern Hemisphere, you might want to tilt your head a bit, but you can see that if I wish I could control that, which I wish I'd have done. Oh God, what have I done? Opened a few extra bits there. Weather Fans has become a member. Thank you to Weather Fans Michael, much appreciated, mate, for becoming a member. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for joining the channel. um, anyway, cheers for that. Right, we've got I've lost my way. We've got we have the snow and ice charts now. So we've got you might have to tilt your head, but if you tilt your head just enough, you can just see Scandinavia there, and you can see the Alps, which is these little snow dots here. That's the Alps there. So there's Austria and things. But if you look through Western Russia, the eastern portion, you can see plenty of snow around, as you'd expect. Probably a little bit more than average, if I'm being honest, through Canada, northwest Canada, maybe even Alaska. Through parts of Western Russia, even through parts of China there, indicated with little spots there. But your usual suspects are the places which have seen it so far. But, of course, as we go through the weeks and months, you'd expect this to only increase. The snow cover that you see on this chart would expect to increase. But that'll be interesting to see the progress that it takes. I will actually show you this as well, which... This illustrates the polar vortex, and I'm just going to find the correct one. GFS Europe, and then this one. Haven't looked at this for a while. And then if we go with that one, this here is, hello to pumpkin picking is happening so early this year. It is, yeah. There's lots of things going on, isn't there? At the moment. We're on Kozar, first decade of all. Winters being above average winters, yeah? Well, you never know. This could be the year. It won't be. It won't be the year, probably. Nice to see Paul in here. Hey, Senate, will it be cold of an average start to autumn and part of winter and a mild or end to winter, or just harsh cold? Well, Jack, that's interesting to think about, isn't it? Cold of an average start to autumn. Well, the September CET was 0.5 degrees above the 61 to 90 average, but it is outdated. But compared to when we've seen colder starts to winters and colder winters, it's about what you'd expect, really. It's possibly encouraging. Through October, it looks pretty dry and probably mild. Let's be honest, it'll probably be a milder than average October. If we're being serious, where have I gone? And November, I think could be quite cold, especially at the latter part of the month and into the start of December. Me and James were discussing this. We've got pretty much the same idea that the end of November, start of December is the main period to focus on. Possibly into the end of Feb, start of March as usual, but who knows? It's too far away to say anything. But if you look at the trends which we've seen, then you never know, do you? I'd like to be a part of a community. Yeah, I agree. Cheers. So this is, if you are wondering, this is the polar vortex at its roots, which is sat over the northern hemisphere. You can see it's sat kind of over Greenland. Here it is, PV. Now, what we don't want to see is the PV of doom, which is not good. 2020, anyone out there? 2020 and 2022. They were not great winters for the polar vortex. They ruined everything. But you can see as we go through these charts, as we go along, you expect the polar vortex to strengthen. Now, something which is encouraging is if you get a sudden stratospheric warming. Now, we did see that in 2010, and that brought, we all know in 10, and you would all know what that brought, and that was a pretty classic winter to remember. But if we did see an early split, it would be very good for the start of winter. I'm just saying, probably would be quite cold, probably quite snowy, probably quite easterly. But of course, cold doesn't always mean snow. It can also stay quite dry. It completely depends on the orientation of the high pressure, where it goes. Do we send it to Greenland, or do we send it to Scandi and bring in an easterly wind or a northerly wind, or is it a dry air mass? Is there no cold available, like last January when we had that pretty potent easterly, but there was no cold available across Europe, so it was a worthless easterly and a complete waste of time because a lot of people saw some sleet or rain. It was only if you lived where James lived, in the middle of a shed in the middle of nowhere, that actually saw some snow that year. So there's a lot of factors, there's a lot of variability, there's a lot of factors that go into everything to do with weather, is what I'll say on that. It completely depends on so many different factors. It's very difficult to forecast. 2020 was amazing for North West England and Scotland. I can tell you that it was very bad for me. It was one of the worst winters I've ever seen. It was just very, very drab. Long overdue in SSW. Yes, we are. Very much so, James. 2020 several storms. Yeah, it wasn't great, was it? 2019 PV of Doom. Yeah, I always get my years wrong if it was 2019 or 2020. I should know this, I know. But yeah, 2019. I remember watching Gab's videos on that. So the cold comes off, yeah. January 2025 looks like it should be cold, but it just wasn't. It was very close. It was very close. But we just had no cold air to tap into. We had the right setups, but we didn't have the cold air to tap into, which is very typical of the UK. We can actually look at that year using the CFS look back. So if I go back to 2024 and we go to January 2025, there you go. Can see, look at this. So obviously it started off quite cold with that northerly wind. This is last year's January. So we did actually see blocking patterns develop, but we did see quite an unsettled period through the first week of January. On the back edge, we saw some cold northerly winds on the back edge of the low. I think that January came out slightly colder than average, didn't it? We had that low pressure moving through the south, which brought that stupid snow event through central southern Britain. I remember that. We saw quite a bit there, actually. Didn't last too long, though, before it turned milder. But you can see higher pressure really got going to the south and really turned things much milder through January. Through February, I think it was where we saw that stupid easterly wind. We didn't have any cold air to tap into. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, this is one of the easterly winds there. Look, we had a brief easterly wind, higher pressure really blocking to the northeast. We brought in that easterly wind. And look at this. Where's the cold air? There's absolutely none, just for the south and the east, where they did see a little bit of snow, but I don't think they saw much. I think it was mostly cold rain. I know around here we saw nothing. It was just cold rain. We had a pretty good easterly, though, for a few days, but there were no cold air to tap into, which is pretty typical of the UK, if we think about it properly. Look at that, though, through the second week of February. Extensive northern blocking trying to gather pace. It looks very similar to the Beast from the East, doesn't it? 2018, but doesn't quite get there. And we just stay under that mild ridge over the south of the country. All the cold air plunges into Eastern Europe. And we were sat on the mild side with a southwesterly wind. And that is a very typical pattern that the UK usually sees every single year. So, there you go. And of course, the cold returned into March, and everyone was happy about that. When all the cold potential disappears, of course, we get the blocking patterns to go in through March and April. That is just very typical of the UK. Heaven Partridge has become a member. Thank you very much to you, sir, or woman. Sorry, I'm very bad with that. Yo, I'm late to this party. This could be it. This could be the year we could actually get something wintry. Potentially. YOLO. Maybe. You never know. 2017-18 was a good winter. It was pretty much overall, yeah. And cheers to Heaven Partridge for becoming a member. Second week of December last year, we had heavy snow. Yeah, we did. I didn't see any. I didn't see any. That's what I base it on. If it's snowy around me, then it's a good winter. If there's nothing at all, there's nothing. Look back at December 2010. I did actually have a look, but I'll show you again. I went through it on my what video was it? I don't remember. That December to remember one. I went through that 2010. That was pretty ridiculous. Because it starts at the end of November out of nowhere, if you remember. There you go. Click back to around, let's see, the 18th of November. And I'll very quickly run through this, because if you've seen the video, that was a big teaser for this. And I'm just going to have a quick sip of tea, because I'm losing my voice. Thanks everyone for sticking around, by the way. I really hope you're enjoying the live stream. But you can see that on the 18th of November, you're thinking, looking like one of those typical Atlantic flows. We've got lower pressure moving in from the west. But as we move through, higher pressure begins to build out to our west, all of a sudden becoming an extensive northern blocking feature in the Atlantic. And this is the start where we begin to drag in the cold northeasterly winds. Now, my mum told me this, that about the stories of having to get to work and the car sharing and stuff. She's always mentioned that to me. After I did the video, she mentioned to me about this. Higher pressure out to our west. She's forgotten actually, when I mentioned it in my video, she was talking about it. Higher pressure to the west, lower pressure to the east, winds from a northwesterly direction, so turning cold and wintry in the north and the east. You can see an area of low pressure dropping through, slipping through the country on the 26th. We actually saw some very cold nights with this, minus double figures, particularly in the north, some of the coldest November nights. On the 27th of November, we're bringing in a pretty cold easterly wind there, northeasterly wind. We've got troughs of pressure through, or kinks in the isobars, moving through southeastern England, and through southeastern England and northwestern Scotland. So plenty of snow there, minus 10 line through Scotland there, pretty cold. Now this high pressure maintains to our northwest and we bring in a pretty cold easterly wind, minus 10 line through the north of England. In southern Scotland, a pretty bitterly cold easterly wind. Areas of low pressure diving southwards with the jet stream on a northwest southeast alignment, sliding into Spain and Portugal. We're staying pretty cold and wintry, and this theme just maintains. We've got a very cold easterly wind moving in, and as you can see, I'll let it play. You can see that we bring in these easterly winds throughout this entire period before we just break down briefly. So very cold, very wintry before we do see a northerly snap into the second week of December, as you'll see here. So if we go through, you can see northwesterly winds back to high pressure, re-establishing over Greenland and Iceland. Back with a brief northerly wind, but that topples over the top. Doesn't take long though before it's retrogressing back towards Greenland, and we get a proper polar plunge. An omega block, as I like to call it, or I think that's its proper name actually, and over 1,050 millibars. Really extensive Atlantic blocking. This is like a proper winter setup. Pretty cold northerly winds, in fact very cold northerly winds. Very cold polar plunge, minus 10 line through Scotland. And we've got areas of low pressure sliding through, like a polar low on the 17th and the 18th, which is where a lot of people reported a lot of thick snow. Does turn slightly milder. Oops, that's 2011. Does turn slightly milder again, but we've got extensive northern blocking. I'm forbidden from accessing that resource. We've got extensive northern blocking, winds in from the northeast, and even on Christmas Day, it's still pretty cold. Pretty cold, not wintry, but probably plenty of snow cover on the ground. Plenty of harsh frosts around during this period, minus double figures. A pretty ridiculous spell. If this came off this year, it would be brilliant to forecast, but of course, there's about a 1% chance of it verifying. Slider lows through the south. We've got channel lows. We've got polar lows diving southwards. We've got plenty of snow for all parts of the country, and only really gets milder into the end of December. But it has another go at returning back towards Greenland, and does successfully before it does turn much milder throughout the rest of the period. Let's see. It's 0.5 degrees above average. Oh, sorry, Barb. I've just seen that. Thank you very much, Barb, for the really generous donation. I do appreciate it as always. How was your holiday? Yeah, it was good. It was very good actually. If you are wondering, went to the northeast, the east, I should say. I went to Mablethorpe and Skegness and all those sort of regions. It was actually quite nice. It was a nice break. So yeah, that was all good. It got to minus 20 degrees on 6th of December in Scotland, coldest night this century. There you go. Oh, wondering where the name came from. Oh, I should have known, yeah. Well, you always get them. It's typical. That's one, Bob. Your support for this channel means a lot. Yeah, it always does. Cheers, Bob. I do appreciate it. I was living in South London in 2010. I remember having snow on the ground, but it was a bright, sunny, cold day. Yes, Michael. A lot of people talk about that. I know that, we live in South Yorkshire, Barnsley, and even here it was pretty cold and snowy. 0910 and December to remember 2010. So both very ridiculous periods, really, wasn't it? And just the following consecutive winters as well is just like, it's just really good, isn't it? If you know what I mean. There's not really a better way of putting it. It's just really good. It's so rare these days. 17-18 is the last proper winter, and 2021, which actually was quite snowy for us, was 2020, 2021. That's the one I remember, though 2 winters I remember. Too young to remember any of the other ones in that respect. So there you go. So if I go on there, Aviemore, yeah, Barb's a great person. Barbie's a great person. If we go to the charts and go to Aviemore, which is in the far north of Scotland, the general trend is above average temperatures for the next couple of weeks, especially through the first, second week of October. You can see into the longer term, the extended range, day 10 and beyond, we are returning to around slightly above average. A few cooler runs in there. Obviously, we're in the far north, so we'll be colder than London or Barnsley or Birmingham for that matter. But you can see that in the longer term, the trend is down, but it's a long way off. And if you look at the previous set of runs, the 6 said, there's slightly more colder runs in there, but not too much. If you're interested in the snow runs, there's about 4 spikes in there, so don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it, there's about 4 spikes in there. 2003, I think it was Feb snowed all day in London. There's plenty of years which were pretty interesting. Definitely. Nice one as well. Yeah, oh, Ethan, hello to you as well. I didn't notice that you were in here. Minus 18 in December to remember was lowest. Like, oh, this is just disappointing, isn't it? Everyone else sees these really interesting winters. 0910 was cold. We had icicles from the gutters to the windowsills for a while. Yeah, I've never really seen any apart from maybe 2018. Snow-free Anglia this year. I'll hope so. You need a Channel Low suit to get some. You need a Channel Low. Has the ECM come out yet? Yeah, it has. I'll show you up to the day 7, day 8 point with the ECM as well. Josh. Oh, Josh. You didn't need to do that. What is happening with everyone today? Josh has sent 5 channel memberships. Thank you very much, Josh. I do appreciate it. Well done to everyone that's got one. Wow. Everyone's just like, yeah, let's let that happen. Liam Grogan, Jack Lulls, Blob, the Southern Red Scouser. I mean, can't argue with that name. And no_lizard. Also a nice name. Very nice names. Thank you very much, Josh, for gifting those memberships. You will have like little thing next to your name, so you can do all that sort of cool stuff. Cheers, everyone, for that. Very kind, yeah. Very kind. There's not much more to say. Just very kind. You and Barb really are helping to support the channel, so I do appreciate it. I think March 2013 is the most unappreciated month for cold. Very unusual. Very unusual. Yes, sorry, I do remember that one. Very briefly. Do very, very briefly remember that. Do kind of have a colder gut feeling about this winter. Yeah, me too. Especially at the start. And I'll always say it. I'll always back that up. Interesting YouTubers want to give me a channel membership gift. I think it is just randomly displaced to people. How many likes are we up to? Let's get that to 100. I'll tell you if there's 100 people watching. I think it is a pretty good live stream though for us anyway. Really good how it's doing. So thank you all very much for joining. I hope you're all enjoying it. Me having a bit of a laugh, And if you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Subscribe. It really helps us out, and we're on the road to 2,500. Hoping to reach there before the end of November. So we'll see how things go. And a lot of you seem to enjoy even the regular videos and even the winter videos. So what more do you want? What more could you want from Send It? A lot better than when I first started, that's for sure. But anyway, the ECM run has come out. So we've got higher pressure to the south on the 6th of October into the early part of next week, bringing up that southwesterly wind, so pretty mild. Before higher pressure into the end of this week begins to sit over the top of the country, moves northwards over the top of the country, turning things much more settled and mostly dry. Temperatures may be maybe cooler or colder in the nights, colder nights possible because of the centering of the high right at the top of the country, possibly. But overall, it's a pretty mild run from the ECM as well. Can actually extend out a day later. Higher pressure through Western Europe, and it's pretty dry. Maybe slightly cooler with that, slightly colder for the northeast. But again, it's high pressure, it's high and dry. There's not really much more to say about that one. Pretty dry there, though. Hello to weather fan. Oh yeah, I did. Hello to you, Michael. Hello to our yellow loving friend has arrived, who's even got a special yellow name tag in the Discord server. It's Rachel. Just went outside. It's cold. Might need to turn it on soon, but as Matthew says, it's randomly selected. Yeah. We have seen trending last few years towards cold end to November. I did do that last year. I used that title, so I can't use it this year. Cold November, cold end to November. I can't use that this year. And also, cheers to James for sorting out the troll. I do appreciate it. Yeah. So yeah, there you go. So it's a very interesting update, I think. If you want me again to go through my final thoughts, then it looks pretty interesting for the start of winter, I'd say, and only the start of winter, really. But there you go. If you're wondering what I was doing, I have no idea. I was just pressing buttons, just messing around, having a look at some wintry stuff. I was actually looking at April 1981, if you were wondering. If you can see there. Don't ask why I'm looking at April 1981, but that was a pretty cold spell. An area of low pressure wrapped in there. Parts of cold air there wrapping through the country there. Pretty cold. So, very interesting there. Hello from Ireland to Philip. Hopefully you did okay within the storm. Thank you again, Josh. Yeah, you're very kind. I'm going to read your message out. Anyone see parts of Europe, specifically Serbia, had an unusually cold day yesterday, even snow, down to 200 metres at Serbia. That's crazy for September. Certainly is. Well, October, but pretty much the same thing, It pretty much is the same month. Yeah, it is pretty interesting for October, September. So we'll have to see if there's any weight to that in the longer term. So yeah, we'll see. Very nice donation, yes, of course. Hi, send it stormy weather, Amy, of course. Yeah, it did get very stormy, definitely, for many parts of the country, particularly in the north. Of course, Northern Ireland saw highs of 100 and Northwest Scotland saw highs of 109 miles an hour at Balabar or something like that. But if you really want to dig into the archive, we saw gusts of 160 miles an hour over the Ben Nevis tops and heavy snow. Imagine being in that. James was showing me, actually, the Met Office forecast for there. And it was pretty ridiculous. So, it was 160 mile an hour gusts, of course, over Ben Nevis, as you'd expect during a really stormy spell. And freezing cold with snow, but it was 0 degrees and had a wind chill of minus 14. Imagine being in that. I'm sure some of you would love it and some of you would hate that. But yeah. Pretty cold. Of course, you'd expect it for Ben Nevis. It is on top of a mountain, very high mountain, but there you go. Very interesting to ponder about. Ben Nevis, like Mount Washington yesterday. Like to snow in April than it is in December, Jan. It's all it is facts for you, Nashi. You're more likely to see a snow-laden Easter or a snowy Easter than you are a snowy Christmas. Every single year, that's typically the case. Gotta go to do some revision. Take care, everyone. Yes, Criff, get it done. Get it done now. Don't leave it till last minute like someone would do. Not looking at me. Not looking at me. Nah, I'm alright. I think Swell cold snap in December. I think mid to end of Jan and cold snap end of Feb. See, I would like that to happen, Ben, but I just can't see it, if you know what I mean. I just think there's too many underlying factors which... Get it away. Not sure what that was. JS first. April 2021 had heavy snow showers down here. Send it, remember? Yes, I do. 2021 was a pretty weird year. Even April and May had below average CETs and they were the coldest since the 80s, weren't they? Both years, I think. Or one was 1997 and one was 1982 or something, I think. Can't remember which way it was round, but definitely pretty cold there. And we can actually look at that. April 2021 was actually quite cold because even we had some snow showers there. Didn't do anything. They didn't stick on the ground or anything, but it was just nice to see. But you can see, I think it was like the 4th day of April or something. Yes, it was. There you go. See? Good memory. We had that cold snap. through the country through the 5th and 6th of April. May 2021 had a lot of snow for James, of course it did, because it's James. But you can see higher pressure out to the west with this April 2021, lower pressure to the east and winds in from a northeasterly direction, so pretty cold there. -10 line getting into the north, and then we get another shot of northwesterly to northerly winds. Throughout the rest of the month, it's kind of high pressure dominated, but you can imagine there was a few snow showers there. And why is nothing loading? There you go. Go back to there and replay. But you can see again, higher pressure just kind of settled the country. Cold and frosty is pretty much the theme there. Before we do see a return of ridging to our northwest, bringing back the -5 line through the far north of Scotland there. Probably plenty of snow showers in the north and the east. And it looks pretty cold, to be honest, for the end of April. There you go. May 2021 had a lot of snow for James too. James always gets snow. It doesn't even matter. It could be August, all right, and it'd still snow. It doesn't matter. When you live on the top of an iceberg like James does, or in his little shed, you can just imagine him in his little shed working, tip tap 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 tap, doing his little work, making the and just tip tap tapping on his little keyboard, and little shed, yeah, just blown over during Amy yesterday. He has to build a new one every single day, and it just bitterly cold every day. As soon as he leaves his house, he gets up, does his little walk, and then he falls down in the snow every single time. You can just imagine it. You can just imagine it. You can just imagine him going, whoops, every time, because it basically is Ben Nevis where he lives. I hope your little shed is yellow, yeah. So I'm sure you'll get one day. James in his little shed getting snow in July, probably. Yeah, probably. Let's be honest, it probably will. Comes with the traits, rubbish summer, yeah. But at least it's a bit colder. I mean, you don't see the 40 degrees normally, like round here. When we saw Coningsby see 40.1 degrees during that summer, that year, that was rubbish. James could get snow any time of year. Let's be honest. It could be middle of winter, could be the middle of summer. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Quick northerly shot, yep, bring some snow down. It could be 10 degrees firm through the country. Still snows because he lives in the middle of Antarctica practically. Might as well be called Antarctica, not Scotland or the Highlands, if you want to be specific. Might as well call it Iceland. Yeah. Okay, I've rambled enough in here, haven't I? I have rambled on enough, but I hope you've really enjoyed the stream today, as much as I have, and it's been a bit all over the place. Yeah, everyone else gets us thunderstorms. Heavy bursts turn rain, hail to snow. Yeah, it does. Up in the north, it does bring the temperatures down very quickly. It does bring it down very quickly. It can turn from 5 degrees or 10 degrees in rain, and down to about 2 degrees in snow. So it's one of those, isn't it? It's interesting to ponder and think about. I've just seen what Rachel said, and I'll show you. I'll show you 1 minute. Right, let me think about this. Oh, it does look quite nice actually. There's no way it snowed there, right? There's no way. Isn't it next to Italy? Croatia. I think it is, isn't it? So it's there. I think it's here. Isn't it? 1 minute. I'm trying to get my bearings. I think it's like here. There, isn't it? Am I right? I think I am. Never right. I think that's correct though, right? Or is it the one down? No, I think I'm right there. It's one of these, isn't it? Down here is where you want to be looking, Rachel. So if we actually have a look at the GFS, it snowed round there. Really? Did it actually? Oh, that's shocking, that. Wow. Maybe it did. Yeah, wow, it looks pretty mild there now, though, doesn't it? I'm going to say I looked at it, and it looked quite like an idyllic place where you'd go on your holidays, like Skegness or something. Benidorm. West of it. Oh, is it the wrong way? Did I look the wrong way? I can't remember. Apparently June 2nd, 1971, am I right? My nan's Rita said it snowed in 2nd June. And in Mansfield, yeah, it's Buxton. I know that. My grandma says it snowed in June. Yeah, it did snow in June. at Buxton. So there you go. Oh wait, so I was right. Let's go. Let's go. It's one of them countries, all right. It's a tiny little country, and it's got like a little bit of an extent, isn't it? If you know what I mean. That doesn't look right, does it? No. But yeah, I think I was correct where I was thinking with that circling. It's basically, if you look at Italy, it's down here. it's basically, if you look on a map, and I'm not very good with place, which is why I haven't done a European, but I will do. It's basically here. So yeah. But yeah. June 9th, what year did you say? I don't know I'm dragging this stream on, by the way. I was behind on the video watching you do the Christmas Day predictions. Yes, I did. But I'll show you. One of them country... Barb, can you stop dissing me? I'll diss you in a minute. I'll make you MC Barb Cat again, and you won't like it, alright? I'll nickname you again. I'll nickname you all again in the Discord. I'll make Josh Jumping Jacks Josh again, even though he literally said he'd done Jumping Jacks before I edited it. So... yeah, all down there, it's not just... You wouldn't think so with them upper air temperatures, though, would you? Upper level air, but I guess... can't rule it out, can you? Actually, yeah, if that's that cold blood there. Anyway, let me think about this. Yeah, you dare. Yeah, I will. I will. I can't do all bad anyway. And all that. I'll show you what the thingy was. Can I stop saying thingy and just say it properly? One minute. Weather Outlook. I've got it on here, so I used the Weather Outlook for this, and it was telling me the forecasty thing. If we go here, and we go here, where have I put it now? I wanted the thing, please. Winter Christmas countdown. Where is it? I had it up as well. There's actually a thing going on the website. Let's see actually what Brian's gone for. The sensible forecaster has said. Random fact, winter 78-79 was warmest on record. Yeah, let's look at that. That'll be really interesting. Now, let's see what Brian from the Weather Outlook's saying, because he's a much better articulating forecaster than me. He's a lot older as well, a lot more mature, like a piece of cheese. Anyway, what was that? Right, here we go. Let's see what he's forecasting then for this winter. Determining the weather, of course, is a long way off, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, he's very good, Brian. He's very good. So he looked at the winters from 08 to 24, and if you look, basically, emails will just say mild of an average, besides 2021, 2020, 2021, 010, 11, 09, 10. Mean temperature for that winter, by the way, 09, 10 was 1.6, which is 2.1 below average. So both pretty cold there, as you can see. 09, 08, 09, 09, 10, 010, 11, or 10, 11 were all colder than average. Coming tripole years, usually tri-years. If we have a look at the last year, it wasn't ridiculously milder than average, as you can see. Look, 24-25 was 0.5 above average. January was a colder month, which brought significant snowfall to parts of the north, and snow in the south was at a premium. Yes, it certainly was. If we look at the seasonal models from the latest CFS, you can see, yes, it is having a cold one currently, Marco. Hello to you, I did see your message. It is actually snowed there yesterday. So, Montenegro, Croatia, Serbia, as Ben's put in the chat, it snowed in all of those locations only yesterday. Maybe even today. If you look at the seasonal models there, you can see we've got all of them listed, which I have been through. And every single one, the UK Met, Meteo France, ECM, DWD Icon, the ECCC, the CMDC, the JMA, and obviously all the combined ones, as well as the amazing and flamboyant CFSV2, all went for above average temperatures. But as we all know, it means diddly, because look at the winter of 09-10. Obviously, these days we are trended and extremely likely to see milder than average temperatures throughout the entire winter, but it's not always a given. Like you've seen in 2021, which was very close to the average. So if we look, and as well at the NEO, we actually have La Nina forecast, which would impact late November and December. Hey, who said that? Who said late November, December? That's right, me. This might be right. I agree with him on that one. And the QBO favours increased likelihood of drier and colder than average because of that negative IOD, which is an easterly phase, which is actually quite encouraging. and so's a La Nina, so there you go. If we have a look at the weather analogues, the 5 closest matches from the 22nd of September were 2023, 2019, 2024, 1998, and 1987. Well, goodbye. Well, Mal's alright this winter off. That means nothing, by the way. It means absolutely nothing. It means nothing. Because CET, in my opinion, ignore it. Current conditions, ignore it. Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. Recent climatology is on the up, of course. We're getting milder years every single year. They're all above average. So, it looks like a milder than average winter is the most likely outcome, with the prevailing signs of a positive North Atlantic oscillation, recent climatology, and the stupid and irrelevant seasonal model predictions. Mean nothing. Means nothing. Now it'll only be a 1 or 6 will deliver, yeah. The UK's very variable and the chance of it being winter is lower. It absolutely remains possible. There you go. It definitely is still possible, and I agree. It's actually quite balanced from him, to be fair. I'll give him that. He's very balanced and very fair. As to probably what we will see. He did actually do a Christmas thing, but I can't find it. So there you go. Mild. No, I don't want one. I know. What is the link for the Discord? James, could you send the link for the Discord? Oh, cheers, you've done it. Yeah, Miles will cry, and Miles will cry. Yeah, it's a write-off. It's an absolute write-off. It's an absolute write-off. Well, there's a good chance there will snow near the shore I live in, Makarska. Well, you got unlucky yesterday then, Marco. I assume that you needed to be a little bit higher elevation to see any of that snow, but there you go. James is awesome, yeah. He is awesome, yeah. Last snowstorm 2018. Well, maybe you'll get one. Maybe you'll get one. Bring on the South Westerly and we will defeat them. I agree. I hope that wasn't too violent for you, YouTube. Please don't take me down. Yeah, I hope so. I hope it's nothing too mild, because that would really make me sad, and also I really want to forecast a cold winter. So, you know. So basically, what we need to do is forget that weather even exists. Make a forecast from me. You know, one of the fantasy forecasts. If I make a fantasy forecast and say, right, every single month, and if we use like the power of send it, if we use the power and if we go, every single month will be colder than average, basically cold, snow laden, up to June, even into June, then it'll happen because I'm on the scene. You know what I mean? Send it's on the scene, and it'll bring you all the cold weather. So you'll be saying your prayers when it's ridiculously cold, and all of those CFS runs were actually true. That's what's going to happen, isn't it? What is that? I have a bad knee, and that has only ever happened in 2018 and 2010. That's it. Exactly. That's it. Metjeff. Is that the guy that does all the hyping? He's worse than me. Is he the guy that like posts and in like the winter and it's like -15 chats, like Britain to freeze and all that sort of stuff? He's worse than me, isn't he? He's worse than me, surely. I can't be that bad, right? Well, there you go. And also a big shout out to James for continuing to moderate this quite long stream. I don't normally yap for this long. Oh, Matt Gunner. He's alright, to be fair. I like Matt. He's alright. He's okay. I have spoke to him quite a few times. Normally during the winter, but, you know, usually that's when I start posting on Twitter, when everything starts going up and the interest picks up, because right now it's not worth posting on Twitter at all. I just leave it dormant. My knee knows best. Suit Metjeff is a guy that I would say is a cold man. A cold man. That's how I'd describe him. Every single post he makes is about cold. Loving the longer streams, yeah. You'll find me under the name of Yellow Lover on there. Of course you will. Of course, you'll find Rachel on there, yeah. Oh, yeah. You'll find that on there. I'll order a snowplow. Yep, just as you're driving along, you know, this is not me being thingy, by the way. You're driving along and you go, it just stops moving. So you need like a lawnmower engine or something, or like a. What about? Oh God, just a regular. Why? Why would you mention that? Why would you mention that name? But you need one of them like like them moped engines. Drive, you know. Wheeling along, and it powers you along. You don't need to like do anything. It just powers you along through the snow, gets rid of all the snow. It just like you just put your feet down or something and like push against it. Based on what in last chance to see called for milder the next year, I'd say winter 90-91 or winter 14-15. 23 as both 14 and 15 were the solar maximum winter before El Nino a year later. Yes. There you go. Snowplow. I have heard of weekly weather updates on YouTube, and I am not willing to comment on weekly weather updates on YouTube, just a regular guy. I'll be honest, because he is one of those people that 2021 was his best, alright? Leon, thank you for the £1.49 and the super sticker. I do appreciate it. And I upgrade my wheels on my wheelchair, lol. Yeah, well, don't worry, we'll get an upgrade. We'll send you an upgrade, and you'll have to film yourself, you know, flying through your snow, 10 foot of snow, flying through there, having a great time. He does winter forecast early. He does it earlier than me, so yeah. A lot to learn, Az. Nice to see you catching a live stream. Love the Mario profile picture, by the way. Wonder who that could be. Hi, James Bacon. Yeah. Hello to you. Nice names in it. White Rachel, why would you put nice banana? That is just completely disgraceful. Don't disrespect. No. Where is the merch hoodie from? Oh, you can blame James for that. I got it from him. Never know. Might sell some in the future. You never know. Cheers to Josh for the super chat. March 2023, send it is 8th to the 11th. Was a lot of snow for Mansfield. Over a 1 foot to want some pics. Yes, I do want some late pics, and I'll feature them in the next video, Josh. Send them to me. Send it to me. Thank you. I expected to jump over my window and swim in snow. Yeah, thanks again, Josh. I do appreciate it. That period there, 2023, was the first time that my college was closed, ever. And was the only time that my college was properly closed due to snow, was that time, because it was quite bad around our parts. But not as bad as they expected. It was an amber warning. We sat right in the middle of the amber warning. And yeah, everyone in my family was at home. So you can tell it was quite bad. And that doesn't normally happen, to be honest. I'm going to attach my dog to the sledge to do my community care round if it snows. I've been waiting for years to do this. I need the snow. Yeah. Well, now's your chance, isn't it? Now's your chance. Yeah, cheers again, Josh, though. I do appreciate it. And to you, Barb, and to all the lovely people that have done it. Sheffield did 50 centimetres there. Yeah, we weren't far away. How about snowy New Year's Eve? I remember my windows getting covered by snow. Yeah, it does get dark, doesn't it? It's lovely, though. Doesn't happen very often, I must say. Doesn't happen very often. It's a very long stream, this, isn't it? Ooh. Be getting bloody shouted at for how long this stream is. Hey, there's a lot of people here. It's nice to see everyone chatting away. I thought you'd have all got bored of me. Thought you'd have all got... Right, I've actually got something to show you. Right. CFS. Where are you? Right. CFS Seasonal Model for November. March 2023 was on time. It snowed up in Cheshire. Everyone used to go sledding on a trin tray. Oh, that's lovely. Justine, we'll change that to most people because not everyone does, and they are like the Karens of this world. No, I'm joking. Everyone has the favourite season. I can understand why people don't like the cold weather because of rising energy bills and cost of living and stuff like that. Of course. But then the other side of that coin is when it's ridiculously hot and the people that don't like that. So it's obviously a very fine margin, and it's hard to like, know what's best, really. Yeah, cheers, James. Yeah, any merch stuff you can request, and also the mugs and stuff. If anyone is interested in any mugs and merch and stuff, click that Discord link James sent. I do appreciate it, and then you can request it to PayPal and all that sort of stuff, and we'll get that sorted out. We've got loads on offer in one of the chats. Match 2023 on the 8th. The main event was notable because it even brought good snow to most of Southhurst. Yeah. If it was up to me, it would snow all year. Yep, same here, just. Although you might get fed up. You might get fed up if it just snowed every single damn day. Right. So, CFS 500 millibar height anomalies from the midnight 3rd of October run has higher pressure position just out to the west of the UK, and around that we are bringing in a northwesterly wind or northwesterly airflow. For December, is it going to be a December to remember? Well, maybe. We've got extensive northern blocking through the Arctic, up through Greenland and Iceland. We have a trough over Scandinavia. That looks like a classic, a classic north-northeasterly wind, a pretty cold spell there. January, oh, that looks interesting as well. So we've got areas of low pressure pushing to the south and out to our west, and higher pressure towards Greenland and through the northern latitudes. So possibly cold for the north, but maybe slightly milder in the south. Could be a bit of a battleground scenario there, so very interesting anomalies there. And for February, finally, that looks very interesting as well. Wow, this is really good, actually. If this is correct, higher pressure to our west and over the Arctic Circle. That looks very extensive blocking. Low pressure over Spain and winds and through Western Europe. So actually could be quite an unsettled and quite cold winter there with a northerly wind. March looks, well, we don't really care, do we? But low pressure to our west, higher pressure to our east. Winds in from a southerly direction, so a pretty mild start to spring. I just call March spring. Deal with it, because it is. Higher pressure through April, higher pressure out to the west, bringing in a southwesterly wind. That also looks pretty mild. And there you go. Actually, that higher pressure out to our west and northwest could actually bring in a slack easterly, northeasterly wind there. I've got the directions wrong, but it doesn't matter beyond that. And then June, yeah, if you want to think about planning your holidays, I'm not really sure I can help you there. You might have to call again next time to see what that was showing. I'm not keen on the snow, really. I don't need a mug as a... Josh. Come on. You do. You do need one. I'm joking. That's your fault, Josh. Bloody banana. You've lost me way now. Thing is, kids these days are not seeing snow much these days. Not like I did when I was a child. It's becoming rare, so nice to see some at least. Yes, nice to see it as like a tradition. It's meant to snow in the UK. It is. And people say, oh, it's meant to be a mild and like a wet climate all year, wet climate, and it's just plain cold, rainy weather all year. But, you know, the UK has seen very cold spells. 1947 is a good example. So if you spilled your drinks laughing, I didn't have one left, pal. I've run out. Could we finally get colder when it matters instead of first week in March? Well, first week in March, second week in March is usually when we get it, but maybe this year it might be. We'll be the first. Yeah, we'll get you. We'll get you, Justine. We'll get you the snow this year. I'm telling you now. Don't forget 62, 63. I would never. That is a pretty extreme spell as well, which is why, to wrap up this stream, and thank you all very much for watching, this is a very long stream, so thank you all for staying with me. I'm not sure how many of you are with me still, but this is the final thing I'll show, and I do apologise for dragging this stream out a long way. No, not normally this long, but it's really fun to look at. So we're going to start then and look at the winter of 62, 63, just to wrap things up, because why not, you know? 1st of December. Well, we've got higher pressure to our east, and winds are in from a southeasterly direction. So we're off to a very mild start. Very mild start. We continue a westerly flow. We do get a brief northerly. Higher pressure pulls out to the west. Lower pressure over Scandi. Winds pull into a direct northerly. So turning colder briefly. Before the ridge builds back through the country and turns things milder. Pushing through into a westerly flow. Higher pressure begins to build further northwards, and we try to send it to Scandi there, but it does topple away. But we do see a ridge building out to our west, and this is where the exciting bit starts, maybe. Higher pressure is in the North Atlantic up towards Greenland, and we are bringing down cold north-northeasterly winds. That pattern is maintained by the 27th of December. We've got a pretty long fetch northeasterly wind, bringing in plenty of snow showers. Higher pressure centred over Greenland and Iceland, and we are continuing that northeasterly wind. Pretty cold and probably quite snowy. That theme's maintained. An area of low pressure pushing up from the southwest there into that cold air. In fact, even with another area of low pressure pushing in, the air's that cold that it's still cold enough for anywhere to see snow there, even in the far south. Pretty cold easterly winds there. Higher pressure continues to block up to our northeast, bringing in these -5 and -10 ice firm through the country. Plenty of frost, plenty of snow moving through. Another area of low pressure, you'd expect to turn it mild, but doesn't. Northwest-southeast alignment just about keeps the cold air in place, and we just maintain some pretty cold air through the country. -10 line comes back, and it goes away, and it comes back, and it goes away. And even then, look, a very extensive cold spell through January 1963 through the first week. Cold northeasterly winds, plenty of snow, and probably some quite harsh overnight frost with clear skies. By the 11th, you can still see higher pressures maintained to our north, winds remaining from an easterly direction, and snow showers, particularly in the north. Well, in the east and the southeast there. And we are bitterly cold with the -10 line. It's just getting colder as it lasts longer. Bitterly cold there. Look at Europe there. Really, really cold. Does eventually begin to topple, but not for long before we bring in a Scandinavian high, or we send it to Scandi high, or just not quite, maybe between Iceland and Scandi, bringing in that pretty cold easterly wind into the south, back again. -10 line through the country, -15, getting into the far southeast. Got a little bed of colder air there. That's going to be bringing in some heavy snow showers to the south. Wow, this is just a ridiculous run, isn't it? 1962, 1963. Higher pressure begins to topple over the top of the country, turning things drier. I wouldn't say milder. This is probably still quite cold under all that. And then it does turn colder again by the end of January. But it probably remains quite cold due to the position of the high pressure. Plenty of overnight frost, but it will begin to melt that, to melt the snow. Probably still quite cold. The air masses aren't anything too spectacular. Might have even remained throughout that period. Into the end of Jan, start of Feb. Again, higher pressure returning out to our west, bringing back a northeasterly wind. We've got areas of low pressure diving back southwards. Look how easy it is to drag in the -10 line. That's impossible these days, usually. But we've got a pretty cold northerly wind. We've got low pressures diving southwards. We've got a southwesterly wind there, but we're still wrapped in cold air. So a southwesterly wind bringing probably blizzards to the north of the UK, with the -5 line still wrapped in. But it does look like it's about to break down there. Turns colder again briefly before the Atlantic weather systems keep going, but you can see that every single Atlantic weather system that moves in is getting shoved southwards because the blocking just remains, and it just remains cold all the way through until the end of Feb, where it does turn milder again. I mean, if that came off this year, well, we'd all be happy, wouldn't we? Let's be honest. Because that is a very, very interesting and quite cold run. The trees were swaying like crazy. I thought they were going to squash the customers. Okay, then. Just think out if the snow updates to come back. Why did it say 1962? So that is because it started in December 1962 and moved into 63. That mild sector is so far south. Yeah, it would. I would give everything to give a winter like that. I wait all summer for the cold to come. This is why I go to Scotland each year to see some snow. Well, yeah, just go to James's house. Let's just all go to James's house, and yeah, let's just sit in his shed, and there you go. Lots of smog, so it would be cold. Yeah, anticyclonic. Yeah, it was. I would have said a lot of frost and fog, even under that mild sector. Frost and fog, smog. So yeah. If I get snow, I'll be in the stream over the moon about it. I can't disagree. I love snow. Let's go for a huge snowball fight. Let's destroy James's house. How's about that? We'll throw snowballs at his window, and we'll see how long it takes for his house to fall down. Probably not too long. You know, it's only a little shed. It'd probably blow over in a 5 mile an hour gust. My shed's still holding up. I'm surprised. Okay, I'm leaving Cornwall. Yeah. I'll go up there. I'll go to Skye. I'll move up there, you know. IRL. I want to do one of them IRL live streams. Help, I'm stuck in a blizzard. It's 8 o'clock. Oh, imagine the amount of people that would come and tune in to see that. Me stranded in an absolute blizzard outside my house. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? But to summarise, there you go. This stream has gone on for an hour and 24 minutes. Hope I haven't dragged it on too long. And you've all enjoyed. A lot of you have stuck with me, so I'm pretty impressed with that. I'll be part of that. Yes! We'll all gang up on his house, yeah. But to summarise, I still think time will tell for the winter, yeah. Of course, it will tell. But it's always interesting and fun to have a look at, isn't it? Especially in the ultra long range. James Shed, I'm not sure you could fit in. It could only fit one small human. And usually that's a dog, not a full-size man. But there you go. He is quite short, though, about 4'1". Smaller than me, even though I'm only about 2. So, yeah. But to summarise, I'd say cold end to November, start December is probably favoured. But January, February, it looks a lot more uncertain. But yeah, thank you all very much for watching today's stream. I do apologise for it being so long, but a lot of you have stuck with me through it. Great stream. Little, yeah, he can only fit like a 2-foot man in there. I don't know how he's managed to fit in. It must be the size of this. Oh, this. Is it the size of this pizza? Oh, dear me. But yeah. Cheers, everyone, for sticking around. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream. If you did, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I do appreciate it. Great community as well, yeah. Cute, yeah. It's got some yellow on it as well, you know, for the yolk. Yeah. I thought you'd like that. Oh, goodness me, it's fell down. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next stream. Oh, Dexter, I've just seen that. Long day of work. Well, at least you've done the work. You know, you've put in the graft. Got to do the work. Yeah, it was good. Watch it back, because it has been going on for like an hour and a half. You've just joined a bit late, mate. But yeah, cheers all.